Hello everybody, very warm welcome to the panel discussion Voices of Transformation Technology. My name is Silvia Haselhuhn of the AIT Austrian Institute of Technology. And I'm welcoming on board my three distinguished panelists today, Professor Wolfgang Knoll, Scientific Managing Director of the AIT Austrian Institute of Technology, Austria's largest research and technology organization, Professor Pascale Ehrenfreund, Professor for Space Policy at the George Washington University, and Rector Gerald Bast, the Rector of the University of Applied Arts, Vienna. So our topic today is technology, and I'm going to start with you, Professor Knoll. In what way does technology provide the answers to dealing with a transformation?
I think based on what we have also heard here during the Alpbach Symposium 2020, I have three levels to mention. The first is whatever we design as a smart transformation needs data. And these data we can only capture when we develop technology to do so. We have heard that we need a lot more data, whether it's on climate, on complexity, on healthcare system, whatever it is, we need more data. Technology will provide the means, the tools to collect those data. We have also heard that once we do that, we will generate an enormous amount of data, terabyte. We will have incredible piles of data that need to be evaluated, that need to be categorized, they need to be manipulated not manipulated in a negative sense, they need to be condensed, they need to be used to make sense out of them. This is something that we also discussed here. We'll need new technology in the digital world, big data. And this is something that we have tools, but we will need a lot more of those. So I think this is where technology will add to the challenge as well. And the third is that once we have analyzed the data, for example, by help of artificial intelligence, we need to develop technology to offer solutions to the problems. This is something that has been referred to here as invest out of the crisis or innovate out of the crisis. Now, innovation needs technology. But I should also mention this is not only the technical innovation, as we have discussed before and also here, it will need a lot of social innovation as well. It needs to have an understanding that it is not just about having technical tools, having the problem identified, have the data. It will also need us to change our behavior. But that's the challenge of the future.
If this crisis over the past couple of months has taught us anything, then it was that we need new approaches in order to deal with a crisis. What do you think, what kind of platform and exchange is needed in the future in order to manage and adapt to a crisis?
Well, I think it depends a little on what type of crisis. Also, this was mentioned here. For example, for the climate crisis, we cannot expect to ever have a vaccine. I mean, this is different for COVID. This was just discussed in a recent panel with complexity dealing with questions on the COVID crisis. They say, well, all we can do is essentially wait until we have vaccines and then vaccinate people and then the whole thing is over. This is going to be different in the climate crisis. And so in that sense, it is something where we have to learn probably to deal also with the uncertainty. And that was mentioned, I think, in Gerald's session. We will need to change the way we train our young people, the next generation of scientists. He mentioned that the current system is tuned to eradicate uncertainty, right? Have the true answer. We have to learn that there is no true answer. And this is something that I think will be very inherent in dealing with the crisis.
Thank you so much for this contribution. Professor Ehrenfreund, those past couple of months were very intense for all of us on all different kinds of levels. How did you experience the corona crisis in your professional life?
Well, it was quite abrupt. I have to say that I was still on travel in Singapore, and then within days, more or less, a home office has been ordered, and I was still at the German Aerospace Center. We had to send 9,000 people into home office within a few days. We have a crisis management team, which has, of course, to work out all the political statements and take decisions on a daily basis. And we could only keep the people on board which are actually operating critical infrastructure. And then, of course, slowly everything has to go back. Well, I have to say it was a good experience because we had very, very low infections. So retrospective, it was a good decision. But I think generally for large organizations, it is a very, very difficult task. And for me personally, I'm used to travel daily. So the lack of international travel and actually also the direct communication with international partners, this is something which has a very, very great impact. And I think what we all learn is that we try to take care of ourselves and of others. And we are much more mindful and probably respectful about the situation. So I think it has a great impact on all of us worldwide.
And according to your perspective, how can technology and innovation help us in dealing with a crisis?
Well, I think you see when you look at the press and when you look at all the political statements that science and technology is really in the center of discussion. We need innovative solutions, and since we are mostly working virtually right now, I think information and communication technologies are really increasingly supported, and we need to learn new platforms. Wolfgang mentioned already the big data. This is something what is really, really necessary. But when you look for patient treatment, artificial intelligence, robotics, these are topics and areas which will make a big difference in the future. And certainly, many other technologies from many areas will help us, to go through this crisis. I think what you can see everywhere, we have a race for vaccine. Everywhere where you look, technology, innovation, and even research is something which is very, very, very respected and accepted right now.
I think we can agree to the fact that a pandemic as such is something devastating. But do you think it could act as a booster in order to push innovation and research?
Yeah, it does. It does. We see that. Because I think society and also politicians understand they need scientific data. They need evidence-based scientific advice. And for that, you need to produce results. And so we have a lot of short-term initiatives, funding initiatives all over the world, in national, on European level, international, where we see how much that we can actually that we can produce more and new results. And that will really help us, to combat this crisis. And I think everybody is aware of that. And I just wanna address also this question. It's not only science and technology; it is also social sciences, because people, are in the center of all this, of the pandemic, and they have partly to change their behavior, and we have to understand how we can actually contribute with science to this transformation.
Do you feel like that for scientists and their expertise, this crisis has given an uplift in order to recognize their work or the value of their work?
Yes, I think it is, because you have to actually adapt every day to new results, and there are a lot of statistics. You hear that every day, and scientists, I think, are in the center of attention because they have to give answers also to uncomfortable results or to contradicting results. And I think it activates everybody. And since we have we need research from all the different areas. It's not only medicine. Yeah? It is really many areas which are actually helping to produce new results for this pandemic. And I think everybody is quite engaged.
Well, thank you for that. Rector Bast, you're the rector of the University of Applied Arts in Vienna. And arts as such has an increasingly important value for society. Could you please explain to us the importance of art in a socio-political discourse?
Well, it's twofold. The one side is the importance of the arts, whatever, from music to painting to fine arts to cyber art. This is one point. This is and ever was important for human civilization, the arts. But the other thing, and this is important right now, is the area of artistic strategies, artistic methods. The tools artists are used to implement by working as an artist. And these are tools we need in our societies far beyond the system of the arts. So we already heard uncertainty or the value of science. I'm a little bit skeptic. This seems to me one of the myths of what we will learn from the pandemic, the value of science or the valuing of science by the politicians. I think they have a totally different view of what is science. And we saw that, what they want to have is a secure, clear answer to a question, a very simple question. And science very often, and this is what artists know, is sometimes contradictory, sometimes ambiguous. And this is not what politicians or administrators want to hear. And so I'm not quite sure if this pandemic, although a lot of scientists had their place on side of a politician at press conferences, if this is really a sign that politics will be more based on facts than now. What we will have to learn from the area of the arts is how to deal with ambiguity, uncertainty, how to deal with abstraction and contradiction. These are things artists are producing or provoking even. And in a world that is like never before dominated by uncertainty, by ambiguity, by insecurity. We heard this climate crisis, which was brought into the back right now in the last few months. This is a massive field of uncertainty, or also automation, robotics, artificial intelligence. People, of course, have a feeling that they must fear these new technologies because they are threatening their life, how they are used to live. They are possibly threatening jobs. And so it's not the question to ignore all the changes we are facing. It's only a question how to deal with the changes. It's not the question if climate catastrophe will come. There will be a climate change, no doubt. The only question and challenge for us is how to deal, how to prepare humans to deal with these new challenges.
So what answers could art provide or contribute to deal with the transformation process?
not art alone. It is necessary that these artistic, creative competences, skills have to be combined with, of course, skills and knowledge of technology, of natural science, of social science, of philosophy. And what we also have to learn is that these disciplines less than ever can give an answer to our challenges, the grand challenges we have. And to have a tool how we can provoke new insights, new kinds of combination of contextualizations. This is what artists do. So I said this morning, we must not and we cannot train all our people to become artists. But what we can do and what we should do is that as many as possible people would be able to use and to utilize these kinds of artistic methods, which bring a total new mindset in thinking and acting.
So today we are at the last day of the Alpbach Technology Symposium 2020, but we're already having an outlook on the Symposium 2021, which will be under the general topic, The Great Transformation. So I will ask each one of you individually, and I would like to keep your answers short and concise. How can a platform such as the European Forum Alpbach or the Alpbach Technology Symposium encourage a transformation process in the future? Professor Knoll?
I think it was a natural next step, going from fundamentals, the theme of this year, to transformation for next year. And I think we have seen even optimistic features, that it will be a lot more obvious to see the participatory part of working together across disciplines, technical disciplines certainly, but also across other less used to collaborate disciplines, like with the social sciences, with the arts. And it is something which I think will need the inclusion of the people. And there were a very optimistic feature for me today at Alpbach, and I have been here in Alpbach now for 12 years. For the first time, I've really seen that there was a dialogue between political decision makers and scientists in both directions. I mean, typically, we just take whatever the policies will tell us as a given and try to maneuver what we think is needed for society and for the future. But here I had the feeling that there was a mutual listening, and that is something that I think we should continue. And with this, there is maybe then even something that would be a citizen science contribution also to policy making. And for me, that would be something we potentially could work out in more detail also next year.
Thank you. Professor Ehrenfreund?
Yeah, my answer will not be so different. I think we can only help to tackle the global challenges when we work interdisciplinary, and that is also the basis of any transformation process. So bringing people from many different disciplines, like we also are here, that is the key in order to satisfy, all the different aspects of transformation. For me, we discussed about policy making very short. It is clear that we have to improve, how to make better policy decisions, and also scientists, I think, have to learn to speak the correct language when discussing with decision makers. And the last thing, which I always think is really, really important, is we have to work towards an implementation. We shouldn't just sit around and talk. We should really see what can we do with a platform? What is the next step? How can we implement some of the steps for the transformation process?
Thank you. Rector Bast?
Well, interdisciplinary dialogue is part of the DNA, as far as I know, of Alpbach. So I was here already as a student, and then also the last 15, 17 years, it has changed, but it always was in the center that people from different areas, from politics, from social science, from economy, are coming together and talking together and listen, really listen to each other. This is very rare in normal life, let's say. And this is an unbelievable treasure, and this treasure should be used for this transformational century we have. And we urgently need this, not only listening to each other, but also in the next step try to synergize the different views. Only by synergizing different knowledge and different views, we can really master the challenges we have. And it will be really great challenges. But we have the chance, and civilization shows us that we always did overcome these challenges. But it's not natural. We have to struggle, and we have to go the right way. And we have the chance now to go and to follow the right track.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, my distinguished panel, who all contributed to the Alpbach Technology Symposium 2020 and gave, according to my view, a very positive outlook to the Forum 2021, which will be under the motto, The Great Transformation. Thank you.